Recently, we shared with Canadians that thanks to their efforts, we can now begin to adjust measures at the border. Beginning on July 5th, fully vaccinated travelers who are permitted to enter Canada will no longer be subject to the federal requirement to quarantine. Fully vaccinated travelers will not be required to take a COVID-19 test on day 8 or stay at a government-authorized hotel. To be very clear with fully vaccinated travelers, you will still need to meet a series of requirements, including pre- and on-arrival testing. We are continuing these testing requirements to allow public health experts to continue to monitor positivity rates at the border and monitor for variants of concern. Having this information will allow public health experts to recommend further adjustments to border measures quickly if needed. For travelers who are not fully vaccinated, I want to remind you that there are no changes to Canada's current border measures, and you must continue to adhere to the current testing and federal quarantine requirements. And whether you're fully vaccinated or not, if you're coming into Canada, it is crucial to plan in advance to ensure you're meeting all travel requirements. Your planning should also consider the specific requirements of the province and territory that is your destination. Please continue to check and follow both the federal and any provincial or territorial restrictions and requirements before traveling. As Canadians continue to get vaccinated, we'll be carefully monitoring data here and around the world. We will be assessing our own rates of vaccination, cases, hospitalizations, and outbreaks, and the disease activity in the rest of the world. We'll watch these metrics carefully as we plan the next phase of changes to border measures. Work continues on a proof of vaccination for Canadians that will be certified by the Canadian government. And this work includes ongoing discussions with provinces and territories who have started issuing their own documents. If you are planning to travel internationally this summer, remember to check the requirements of the country that you're visiting. And remember that many countries have had to make sudden changes as they cope with rising cases or severe outbreaks. As we've told Canadians all along, easing measures at the border will happen as we see our communities increasingly become safe. We all want to get back to normal, and everyone can play a part in that effort.
Mr. Hajdu has indicated phase 1 of the approach that we are taking to ease border measures will begin on July 5th with reduced public health measures for fully vaccinated travelers with a right of entry and foreign nationals who are currently eligible to enter Canada. It is the traveler's responsibility to plan ahead, to understand their obligations, and to ensure that they are eligible. They should do this before heading to the border by visiting travel.gc.ca. Fully vaccinated travelers who are eligible for the reduced measures must meet the pre- and on-arrival test requirements. They must be asymptomatic upon arrival, and they must provide contact and travel information, proof of vaccination electronically through the ArriveCAN app before arriving in Canada. Our ArriveCAN app has proven to be a very effective application for travelers providing their travel and personal information. Over 2 million Canadians have now used the application for arrival at our border. It is absolutely essential for all travelers to have their ArriveCAN receipt and documents ready, including proof of vaccination before they arrive at the border. And once there, travelers must provide the required information and documents to the border service officers and answer all eligibility, vaccination, and health screening questions. And they must follow the instructions that will be provided to them to complete their on-arrival test and proceed to their destination. Fully vaccinated travelers will no longer have to quarantine or complete the 8-day test. But to benefit from these reduced public health obligations, fully vaccinated travelers must submit their vaccination information using the ArriveCAN app before arriving at the Canadian border. There are no changes to our current border measures for those who are not fully vaccinated, and travel restrictions for foreign nationals, including U.S. citizens, remain in place until at least July 21st. In other words, foreign nationals coming to Canada for non-essential purposes will be turned away at our borders. We recognize that people are anxiously awaiting to reopen the border. And as Canada reaches high levels of vaccination coverage and the COVID-19 severity trends continue to decline, the risks associated with international travel will decrease. A phased approach will allow us to ease border measures in step with the decreasing risk, and it will take into account vaccination thresholds and modeling forecasts, as well as public health criteria. The results of data collected in the first phase, such as the test results of vaccinated travelers, will also help us to determine the timing of future border measures. Discussions are ongoing with provincial, territory, and international partners, with the aim of allowing for non-essential travel of fully vaccinated foreign nationals into Canada in the coming months. Our top priority continues to be the health and safety of all Canadians. And as the scientific evidence changes and the situation evolves, we will continue to consider additional border adjustments. Thank you very much, and I'm happy to turn the mic over to my colleague and friend, Minister Omar Alghabra.
Today, we are taking significant steps toward a safe and science-based return to travel. We are able to take these steps because Canadians from coast to coast to coast have rolled up their sleeves to get vaccinated. Vaccination is the key to ending the pandemic. To complement the measures announced today by my colleagues, we will be eliminating pre-departure temperature screening for international travelers coming to Canada. This is so that air carriers can focus on ensuring travelers enter the necessary health and vaccination screening information prior to departure and avoid duplication of work. This will make the travel process more streamlined, ensuring that passengers spend less time in airports. Also, to ensure the smooth movement of both vaccinated and unvaccinated travelers through our airports, we will be working with industry to establish separate lines for these two categories of traveler. This means on arrival, we can quickly sort passengers based on vaccination status and get them to the appropriate screening checkpoints efficiently and safely. This means shorter lines, shorter wait times, and getting out of the airport faster. Today, we will also be renewing the flight ban between Canada and India for 30 days to July 21st of 2021. On prolonge l'introduction des vols entre le Canada et l'Inde. This means that direct commercial and private passenger flights from India will continue to be denied permission to arrive in Canada. Passengers who depart from India bound for Canada via an indirect route must still obtain a valid COVID-19 test result from a third country before boarding a flight to Canada. Today, I'm also announcing that based on the public health data, we will not be renewing the flight ban between Canada and Pakistan. Air travelers from Pakistan will be required to obtain a COVID-19 molecular test in Pakistan to board a flight to Canada. As the situation evolves, we will respond with new and adjusted border measures as needed to keep Canadians safe and the economy running. I will be working with colleagues at the federal, provincial, territorial, and industry level to determine next steps later this summer. This could include expanding the number of Canadian airports that are eligible to receive international flights. And I hope to have more to share with you soon. Merci. Thank you.
We've come a long way over the past year. In addition to the extraordinary sacrifices and progress made by Canadians, we've also seen newcomers step up throughout the pandemic. From putting food on our tables to providing care for our seniors and families, immigrants have continued to deliver essential support, keep our supply chains going, and help to accelerate our economic recovery. Indeed, immigration has been a lifeline. And thanks to the measures we've put in place and the progress all Canadians have made in getting vaccinated, we're now able to take the next staged approach in welcoming newcomers as part of our 2021 Immigration Levels Plan. Today, I'm pleased to announce that anyone with a valid confirmation of permanent residence, in particular those approved after March 18, 2020, will now be eligible to travel to Canada. I wish to highlight that all travelers must have a valid certification of permanent residency and comply with all other health and public safety screening protocols prior to being admitted. Today's announcement is an important milestone. It will allow us to continue to welcome hardworking newcomers, reunite families, and show Canada's leadership when it comes to humanitarian resettlement. These permanent residents will help drive our economy forward and strengthen our long-term prosperity. We can cautiously but optimistically cast our eyes to the future, which is bright and the newcomers who will help build it.
What steps will be taken to verify the authenticity of documents they upload? Will it require sharing data with provinces? And if so, does that not run the risk of violating provincial privacy regulations on health records? And further, how would you verify documents that were issued by another country? If somebody gets a shot in Tennessee or Mississippi, how can you possibly ensure those are authentic by checking with local health authorities?
Well, thanks, Glenn, and I agree. It's an important question, but we will be using in this first phase of easing of border restrictions the Arrive Can app, and the Arrive Can app is capable of receiving documentation from a number of different jurisdictions, not just Canadian jurisdictions, and the application itself can verify the validity of the documentation that's been submitted, but we're also requiring travelers to retain a copy of their vaccination documents, the originals, or a certified translation for verification by the border service officers, and they have to also carry it for 14 days after their arrival into Canada. We're confident that we'll be able to identify and verify vaccine certification for fully vaccinated Canadians and those who are exempt from these restrictions utilizing this app. And perhaps others could speak of, there's also ongoing work working with the provinces, territories, and many of our international partners about other systems of vaccine certification. But we're very confident that the Arrive Can app will do the job for us, for all travelers coming to Canada, to be able to verify the vaccine documentation that must be provided in the digital format, as well as in a paper format to present to our border service officers.